If you only counted the doctor's appointments, you would miss most of what a family caregiver actually does. You wouldn't see the meals being prepared, the housework being done, the phone calls being made, or the hours it can take just to help someone get ready to leave the house. And you certainly wouldn't see the planning that continues in a caregiver's mind even when she appears to be sitting still. Hi, friends. Welcome back to JC Lowe's Next Chapter. I'm Janine. Today, I want to share what family caregiving can actually look like during one ordinary week. When I was caring for my mother, there really wasn't a typical week. Some weeks were quieter than others, but something always needed to be done. A lot of it probably looked like ordinary life from the outside. But when you put all those ordinary responsibilities together, you begin to understand just how much invisible work caregiving involves. Let's start with the meals. One of my sisters usually handled mom's grocery shopping. Mom didn't need very much, maybe some fruit, vegetables, or bread, because she already had a freezer full of food we could use. Most of the time, I cooked at my house and I carried the food to mom's house because my mother was very particular about her appliances. She wanted everything to continue to look like it was almost new and unused. She took very good care of what she had because she didn't want to spend money replacing things unnecessarily. And honestly, I understood that because I'm a lot like her in that way. So, preparing a meal often meant checking what she already had, deciding what to make, cooking it at my house, packing it up, and taking it to her house. Then there was serving the meal, putting everything away, and the cleanup afterwards. There were dishes to wash, laundry that had to be washed, dried, folded, put away, floors that needed to be swept, mopped, or vacuumed, bathrooms that needed cleaning, and the trash to be taken out. Those may sound like ordinary chores, and they are, but a caregiver might be keeping up with her own home and trying to take care of another person's home. Transportation was a big part of caregiving, but we didn't leave the house only for appointments or errands. Sometimes I took mom out simply to give her a change of scenery and to break up the monotony of being at home. About every 6 weeks, we would go for her haircut. Other times, we would just take a drive or we would visit Daddy's grave. Those outings were important, but getting ready for them, that was a big undertaking. If I were going somewhere by myself, I could usually be ready and at the door within 30 to 45 minutes. Getting mom ready, that was totally different. I had to gather her portable equipment and anything else she need and load it in the car. Then I had to allow her time to get ready, move at her own pace, help her safely into the car. The entire process could take 2 hours or more. And that was before we ever left the driveway. That's something that people may not consider when they see a caregiver and a loved one out together. They might see the haircut, they might see the drive or the visit. They don't see all the preparation that was made to make the outing possible. Still, those trips were worth it. Sometimes caregiving means taking someone where they need to go, and other times it means helping them get out of the house so one day doesn't feel exactly like the day before. Appointments required their own kind of preparation. There might be paperwork to fill out and gather, questions to remember, phone calls to make, and dates to confirm. Then you have to allow enough time to get ready, travel to the appointment, find parking, wait, and make the trip home. Afterwards, there might be more information to organize or another date to put on the calendar. The actual appointment might only be a small part of the day, but the responsibilities surrounding it could take hours. Then there were the errands. One of my sisters usually bought mom's groceries and picked up her prescriptions. If I was already out and shopping and mom needed something, I would pick it up for her too. But that rarely happened because I was with my mother 90% of the time. Mom was able to pay her own bills until the last 2 months of her life. When she could no longer manage them by herself, my sister and I stepped in to help. That was another change we had to recognize and respond to. Caregiving responsibilities don't always stay the same. They may gradually increase or change as the needs of the person you love changes. Finally, there's companionship. Caregiving isn't only a list of things to complete. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is sit down and stay a while. Companionship might mean sharing a meal, watching television together, listening to a familiar story, or talking about something that happened years ago. It could mean taking a drive with no urgent destination or sitting quietly together without feeling the need to fill every moment with conversation. Those moments may not look productive to someone else. There isn't anything to check off of a list when you sit beside someone and keep them company. But that time matters. It reminds the person you love that they had not been forgotten and they don't have to face every day alone. Then there's the planning, the final part of caregiving. That part may be the hardest to explain. Even when you aren't physically doing something, your mind is often working. What needs to be done tomorrow? What do I need to cook that fits within medical restrictions? Is an appointment coming up? Does something inside the house or outside of the house need attention? How am I going to fit in time in my house and for my husband? You may be sitting quietly, but there's always a running list in your mind that rarely seems to disappear. That is one of the things I wish more people understood about family caregiving. Most of the work doesn't look dramatic. It looks like cooking a meal, washing a dish, driving across town, making a phone call, checking the calendar, sitting beside someone you love. Each task may seem small by itself, but when you put them all together, they make up a very full week, and then another week begins. If you're a family caregiver, please don't dismiss what you do simply because other people don't see every single part of it. Your time matters, your presence matters, and all those seemingly small things you do add up to something much bigger. They can help someone you love feel cared for, supported, and less alone. If you've been a caregiver, what's one responsibility you handled that other people may not have noticed? Please share it in the comments. Your experience may help another caregiver feel seen, understood, and less alone. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, sometimes the quietest work carries the greatest love. I'm Janine, and I will see you in the next video.